What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with Moneyvest. Welcome on board for our market open live stream on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And this is a day before Thanksgiving. So remember, today is the last full trading day of the week as well as of the month of November 2025. Tomorrow, the markets are going to be closed. And then on Friday, we've got an early close at 1 p.m. Eastern. Hope you all are doing great. And markets are indeed pushing higher. So we got QQQs up almost 0.5%. We got the S&P 500 also pushing up over 30 basis points. Nvidia is recovering over 1.5% right now, back over 180. And we got Google pulling back a little bit, about 70 basis points, with volatility down over 2.6%, or trading down to low 18s at the moment here once again, with Ethereum trading at just over 2,900. And Bitcoin is sitting at just over $87,000 as well. So hope you all are doing great. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're going to do a quick questionnaire for today. What are you most thankful for in this Thanksgiving 2025? So definitely share your gratitude with everyone. And good morning. Again, thank you so much for joining. And come on, Turkey Rally. So yeah, we'll see if we can flip the script for the month of November, right? So we are indeed down in the month of November so far. The S&P is only down about 1%, just over 1% right now. And we'll see if we can actually flip the script for this month. And NASDAQ here for the month of November is also down about 2.9, almost 3%, which I doubt we're going to be able to flip. Markets would have to go markets have to go up a lot today and Friday in order for us to kind of regain that momentum this month. But I think we're going to most likely close red in the month of November for the NASDAQ. The S&P, of course, we'll find out. Thankful for heavily investing in Palantir. That's amazing. Thankful I don't have a 50-year mortgage to worry about. I agree. That's a good one. 50-year mortgages are brutal in terms of interest rates and how much you end up paying. But I think it really comes down to affordability, right? The longer you stretch out your debt payments, the lower they are, but the more your overall cost ends up being over the term of the loan. So Google, do you think we will come back from the downtrend on the S&P and QQQs? So I think it's really going to come down to the overall technicals. If you take a look at the NASDAQ, we are in this downtrending channel of lower highs and lower lows. And so resistance all the way up to 23,000. If the NASDAQ can break above this level, then I think we've got more potential upside at 24,000. But of course, if we get rejected here and we're back in this downtrend, then there could be more weakness for the markets as well. So 22,170 is going to be that next support, down to 21,790. So, right now we're in that range. We're still in that downtrend from lower high, lower low perspective. And today is going to be the final test for this market. Same thing is true for the S&P 500 as well. We are in this downtrend, lower highs, lower lows. Support level is going to stay put at 65.50. If we close green, can we say that we are out of the woods? So closing green in itself is not going to be a indication vault per se, but we really have to take out this previous high. That's when it's going to be a clear confirmation that the bulls are indeed stepping in. We're making a higher high, and that is a sign of strength. Even though we could pull back, right after, because we'd be in a higher high, higher low pattern, so we'd be in an uptrend, but that in itself is going to be a pretty strong indication of a break of structure. Same thing with the NASDAQ, right? So just because we close green is not going to cut it. We have to break above 23,000, 23,084 to be precise, and then continue, this path forward to the upside. So that's where we are. So once again, definitely comment, what are you most thankful for in 2025, and then I'll share what I'm thankful for this year. But yeah, I'm happy to listen and read everyone's gratitude for this year in 2025. So once again, a very happy Thanksgiving to everybody watching. Again, whether you celebrate it or you don't, I think it's a great time to take a minute to be grateful for what we have, because oftentimes when we are in the middle of our life, when we are constantly working towards our goals, when we're taking care of the people that we care about, and we forget how far we've come. So we forget to actually be grateful for what we have. And so I think it's a good time to take a minute to always, be thankful for the life and the health and the family, as John really puts it really well. Thankful for life, health, family, work, until I make capital to trade for a living. And soon that's going to happen for everyone. That's going to be my wish. But yeah, definitely share. So I'm curious to read everyone's message for this Thanksgiving 2025. Do you wait for a break of support before you buy a few shares? Same with resistance DCA. So I think dollar cost averaging really for me is when the risk reward is really good. That's really what it comes down to. For example, Meta, I was picking up a little bit, dollar cost averaging slowly and steadily, picking up 5 shares at a time, and still need to buy more to kind of fully build out my position. But the idea was to slowly and steadily build this position, add a little bit more shares to continue the dollar cost average, as the risk reward was very attractive and the price was, something that I couldn't let go. When it was trading at sub 600, 590, sub 590. So for dollar cost averaging, there isn't really a rule of thumb that you need to buy at support or buy a resistance. As long as the price itself makes sense for you from a risk reward standpoint, that's what really matters, because you're dollar cost averaging because you're accumulating more shares, and you're accumulating more shares because they're a long-term position. It's a long-term investment, right? You're only dollar cost averaging into an investment. You're not DCing into a trade, because when you're trading, technicals play a much bigger role than your fundamental analysis. And so support resistance levels, although they are very, very important, and they kind of help us understand, where the price's floor is, where the ceiling is, where can we expect to bounce, where are we oversold, where are we overbought, things like that. But fair value, buy targets, fundamental buy targets, that's really what matters when you're dollar cost averaging. That helps us understand the risk reward ratio a lot better. So what do you think about BTC? Is that a leading indicator for equity markets? Do you think it'll bounce? So, Bitcoin is not a leading indicator of equities per se. It is a leading indicator for risk appetite in the market. And, as we have seen Bitcoin kind of sell off aggressively, we've seen the risk off environment in the equity markets as well. But it is more of a risk indicator as opposed to an equities indicator. And right now, we're not seeing investors, rushing back into Bitcoin as of yet. The risk appetite is still on the sidelines. And so that's really where we are. Whether it's going to bounce back higher, it becomes more of a prediction, which I can't really make, but resistance $88,000, $89,000 for Bitcoin. So, okay. After making 90% gains in 3 months in puts, I lost like 33% of those gains buying CoreWeave and AMD calls. Yeah, see, buying call options needs to be done very carefully. I've mentioned this time and time again. And look, sometimes it's kind of hard to fully internalize the lesson unless you've experienced it yourself. And I read this somewhere, I forgot where, but some lessons are best learned through experience. Even if someone tells you that, hey, don't do that, you don't really experience it until you go through it yourself. And that's fine, right? And that's completely fine. That's completely okay. But when it comes to buying options, as I mentioned before, the probability for success is really low. And so you have to be right on the timing of the trade, on the direction of the trade, and the price of the trade all at the same time, which becomes a very difficult challenge. And so, that is something that I sort of avoid, and I'm mostly about selling options, because high probability of success helps you a lot with getting more confidence on your next trade and so on and so forth, and you're able to collect cash flow premiums, which you can then reinvest back into the market. Chinese regulators block ByteDance from using Nvidia chips, the information reports. Yeah, Nvidia has been gone through a ringer here. I mean, it's been seen as a bit of a stalking horse for the entire world as a negotiating tactic. Is Nvidia. Nvidia is always front and center every single day. But, very similar to Tesla. Tesla and Nvidia kind of go hand in hand, and Palantir, I would argue. All three of these companies are loved and hated on a whole different tangent. I think these are two companies. Well, can't say the same thing about Nvidia, but especially from the China counterparts, we're starting to see some boycott on Nvidia because of the trade negotiations and the tariffs and all the situation that's happened earlier this year. I mean, Nvidia has also been put right in the middle of those trade negotiations, but Tesla, Palantir, and now you can even throw in Nvidia in there are two really polarizing stocks. These are stocks where you either love it and believe in the entire mission and the management, or you don't. And if you don't, you're on the other extreme where you actually hate it and you are shorting it and you are just don't want anything to do with it. So those are like really, really polarizing names in the market. I was able to buy a little on the downside, but still holding cash on the sideline. Should I still hold? So as a rule of thumb, what we have discussed is your cash exposure, in my personal opinion and experience, should never really exceed over 50%. Anything over 50%, you're kind of underinvested in the market. So for me, for example, it never exceeds 50%, right? So if I show you the liquidity framework that we've been talking about for such a long time, anything over 50% is underinvested. 30 to 50% cash is a bit more opportunistic. You're like, okay, you're waiting for opportunities and you're kind of, still pretty heavily invested because you are still invested 50 to 70%, but the other 30 to 50% is sitting in cash waiting for opportunities. 20 to 30% is a sweet spot, right? So anything between 5 and 30% is where I operate at any given point. So, if at any given day you ask me what my cash exposure is, chances are it's going to be somewhere between 5 and 30%. Those are the levels that I'm primarily operating within. I obviously never go below 5% cash. I think it puts me in a very vulnerable position. And it also puts me in a position where I become the distressed seller in the market, and I don't want to be that. I want to take advantage of distressed sellers, but I don't want to be one of them. And then anything over 50% cash, I'm just really underinvested. And then I'm at the mercy of inflation. I'm losing cash every day, the purchasing power, even if I'm not physically, literally losing cash, but I am losing purchasing power to inflation. Even 3 to 4% high yielding savings account and bonds are not going to generate enough return to make it make sense. So somewhere between 5 and 30% is a sweet spot for me. And depending on market conditions, that's what I fluctuate off of. And I think this is the same exact framework that Warren Buffett has also utilized for years. He'd raise cash through multiple different ways. If he feels there's not a lot to buy, all he's doing is stacking cash on the sidelines for opportunities. Because when times get tough, it's people like Buffett who get the call for a cash injection, and they have the control over the entire deal structure, the entire terms. And so when the door knocks, like when someone comes knocking and they're like, hey, I'm giving you this stock at this price, right? And in terms of market, that's going to be a pretty big sell-off, and people with cash are the ones in control. The people who don't have cash, who are getting margin called, are the ones selling at those distressed prices. So you always want to operate, from a place of strength when it comes to investing. And we can talk on and on about it because there's so much to discuss with regards to cash allocation, exposure, risk reward, opportunity cost. Opportunity cost in itself is such an amazing concept and topic of discussion, I feel, which we can talk a lot about. But to answer your question, if you are anything over 50%, then you are certainly underinvested. Ideally, I like to be between 5 and 30, depending on market conditions. Given where we are right now, I like to be a bit more defensive, somewhere between 10 and 20% cash. So if you're over that level, maybe you want to consider picking out some good quality companies at some decent prices. So that's where we're at. Grateful for finally investing in the market and taking my finances seriously after gaining inheritance from losing my parents. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that, but that is very good that you are taking charge of your finances and actually are able to invest in your future. So I'm sure your parents are going to be very proud. Thankful for the opportunity to have the ability to increase my investments. Truly thankful for finding this community. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate that. And that's really what it is, right? You just, as long as you're on top of it, it becomes a lot easier, simpler. I spend a lot of my hours on spreadsheets, running through different simulations, especially with the rise of ChatGPT. I'm spending a lot of time there, running through different simulations, different analysis, different forecasting, different things that help me in sort of the financial journey as well. So what do you think about buy to close? We already covered that. So thankful for your videos and streaming like this for free. Long-term follower. Thank you, my man. Thank you so much, Jay, for checking in, tuning in. I really appreciate you as well. Grateful they're not driving underwear nor socks this year as gifts. If the CSP premium is really low, like 10 cents, or is that the delta you're talking about, Rick? Is there any point in trying to buy it? I sold a CSP on Oscar, but it's out of the money. Premium is 90 cents. But if I can close early, but it's 10 cents, will it even get filled? You sold a CSP on Oscar, but it's out of the money. Premium is 90 cents. You can try. You can try and see if it gets filled. Most likely, if it's too far away from the mid price, it won't get filled. But if it's as close to the mid price, it might get filled. So you can try that. So, Mike, thank you so much for joining. No worries that you're late. How about 90%? This market is freaking me out. Cash equivalents. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot that you have sitting on the sidelines. So this is the liquid cash as a monthly savings number. So if you have, let's say, 6 months of expenses saved up in an emergency fund and liquid cash, that's good. That's really what it should be, right? You are sufficient. If you've got 12 months, you're pretty secured. But anything over 12 months starts to feel like there's a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines. And I, for one, trust me when I say this, apart from my emergency fund, I don't really have any cash in the bank, like literally zero. Sometimes, and I know this may sound crazy, sometimes I might even go overdraft, like by a couple dollars. That's how bad it gets. Why? Because I really don't want to waste that. There's a huge opportunity cost by keeping cash in the bank, So it just for me, there's a thing. There's something that I just want to invest. It's a bit of an addiction, really. That's what it is. So trust me, you don't want that addiction. You can't get out. You can never get out of it. It becomes difficult. Yeah. So, all right. So coming over to some crypto questions here. May not have much like money, but I'm still very grateful that I have enough to provide for the family, retire early, and still play in the market. That's amazing. That's great, Jojo. Congratulations to you. And to be honest, like Musk life like money, doesn't really provide a huge marginal benefit. I was reading this study where I think it might be, I forgot what that exact number was, but I believe it is $10 million, or might be 50. I'm not exactly sure, because I read it somewhere and then I forgot about it, and now I'm just kind of remembering it. I think it's like 10 or 50 million. Is that beyond that number, it marginally doesn't change your life much. The only thing that changes, of course, is the level of materialistic things that you can actually purchase. Yes, you can get a much nicer house, you can get a much nicer yacht, you can get a much nicer jet. But other than that, nothing changes. All the fundamental problems of us being humans are still going to be there. So beyond that number, it just starts to become irrelevant. And so that's important to know. because I know that we're all going to be very growth focused. We're all very ambitious, but at the same time, why are we doing it? Not the worst addiction to have. I know, right? I know I'm constantly just looking for deals and opportunities and things to invest in. It's getting to a point where I'm just not having any fun, I feel. Invest. Okay. Do you trade options on HIMS as a high quality company? So I have covered calls on HIMS, which I'm planning to close very soon. Thankful for the education provided at Moneyvest. The past year and a half has been an eye-opening journey. Very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I really appreciate that, and glad to hear it. Why Oracle is surging in pre-market? Any good news? Let's take a quick look here. So Oracle is up 5% pre-market. So we're getting a D.A. Davidson reducing the price target on Oracle from 300 to 200. That's a huge reduction, 50% reduction. And then, let's see. All right, so Oracle bouncing here. Pre-market. As Deutsche Bank says, OpenAI benefit not priced in for the company here. Deutsche Bank says OpenAI benefit has not yet been priced in for the stock, and we're seeing a pretty significant jump here on the stock. On the Oscar question, who is going to open a CSP for $10 premium and $1,300 collateral? So I don't think I would get filled. It expires on 26 December, but I could lose it for 90% if it gets filled. Well, so you're looking at $13 strike. Let's just go over to December 26th. And let's see, $13 strike for, right now it's showing us 20 cents. So that is a 10 delta for 20 cents. The last traded price was 30 cents. So it's not $10, it's $30 is what you'd be collecting on that CSP. Yeah, I need financial cushion because I have 2 children and a family to support. I need to have money to survive for at least 6 months. Agreed. And that's a good sweet spot, to have. 6 months is good. It's sufficient. 12 months is even better, but anything between 6 and 12 months is what I would aim for having an emergency fund, because if you have 12 months of expenses set aside, you've got a lot of optionality, You've got a lot of optionality. That's a very, very secure position to be in. And then it's really just kind of playing around with the percentage of cash in the portfolio. And then, of course, we never want to be below 0%, meaning you're in margin. That's when the real distress sales show up. Google has more room to run. Let's take a quick look. I think it's extremely overbought right now. I think it's very overbought and stretched. It is pulling back over 1% pre-market right now. And I'd be very careful with Google at these prices. 291 is going to be that support down to 277. And of course, an extremely overbought and stretched stock right now. So 329, 330 is a resistance. So Srinivas, why is delta important to measure considering when we're doing covered calls? I'll come back to that question here in just a minute. Crawling, can you analyze Lumentum, LITE? Fundamentally, optical interconnects are the future in AI data centers, but is the stock a good buy right now technically? So $20 billion company. It's been ripping higher. week after week from 45. This thing's up like 600% since March 2025. I mean, it's extremely overbought. 6-7 straight months in a row of gains. So I think most insane rally. 87 RSI. I would just be careful here, given how overbought this thing is at the moment, So support level is going to stay put at 110 for light. Another support down to 147 for the stock right there. So yeah, when we're looking at covered calls, even with covered calls, the reason why that's so important is because it tells us a probability for whether that option is going to expire in the money or out of the money. So there's a couple different things that I look at when I'm selling calls. Number one is your average true range on a weekly basis, right? So to give you an example, if you come over to Nvidia, it's a little bit more cumbersome in terms of data. And this is something that we are going to include in our Moneyvest platform as well, because it's going to help you in your analysis when you are selling options. You know why? Because when we're selling puts or calls, so delta is a good thing. It's a good measure to essentially tell you, whether that option is going to be in the money or out of the money. But then what we also want to know is what is the average weekly gain or loss for that stock? Because if I'm selling a put that's 1 week out and the strike price is, 5% away from the actual market price, sure, the delta is going to be there to tell me what's the probability of whether this option expires in the money or out of the money. But what if the actual weekly average profile in terms of the volatility of that stock on a weekly basis is 7% or 8%? Like on average, the stock moves plus minus 7-8%. So that's going to be outside of my 5% threshold. So that means, okay, I need to pick something that's outside of that range, right? Not inside of that range. Because if it's inside of that range, then it's part of the analysis. It's going to tell me, okay, I'm selling a stock with a strike that's 5% away when this stock is known for moving 7 to 8% per week on average. So that falls inside that weekly average. So that's one of the ways that I also look at, okay, if I want to sell a put, I'm at least outside of that range, combined with the delta, combined with the support, and combined with a level where I want to own that stock, where I would feel excited about owning that stock. All of those things play a huge role in our understanding. Same thing with covered calls. Is where you want to sell a call with a strike price that is going to have a lower probability of getting in the money, unless, of course, your goal is to have your shares get called away. Then, of course, you can sell it something that's close to the money. Great time to jump into the energy stocks after they've rallied quite a bit. What do you think about the earnings hit on Zscaler? So let's take a quick look. Zscaler is indeed part of the shopping list also. Selling off down almost 7%. We got an earnings beat on Zscaler, both EPS as well as revenue. And support level is going to stay up roughly at 260 for Zscaler. I think Zscaler also in the cybersecurity space is a phenomenal, high-quality business for the long term. This right here is the overall higher lows as well as the higher highs for Zscaler. So that is the uptrend that we're seeing with a very strong support down at 260s and a resistance all the way up to as much as 374, 375 for Zscaler. So 14 more minutes left for this market to open. Last full trading day for this week and for this month. Tomorrow is a holiday in observance of Thanksgiving. And Friday is going to be an early close at 1 p.m. In observance of Thanksgiving, this right here is going to be the link if you want to join, be a part of our Moneyvest community. Got a 40% annual discount available until Black Friday. So after Friday, this is going to go away. And of course, a lot of individual stocks are also 60 to 70% off. If you want to take advantage of the full bundle, that includes for 200 plus videos. You've got the 3-course bundle, which is fundamentals, technical analysis, and psychology. And then, of course, you got the fundamental analysis course, separately the options trading course, which, I'm offering complimentary Zoom calls with this for your first trade. So if you want to trade your first option, if you want to sell your first option ever, I'm there for you to kind of walk you through and monitor the trade with you. So that's going to be there. Psychology of investing, very, very underrated in my opinion. Put in a lot of time and effort into this one as well. And then of course you got the technical analysis, going over 40 plus videos from start to finish, charting, patterns, candlesticks, strategies, everything. So that's going to be there until Black Friday. Any questions, email me, admin@moneyvest.com. I've been on back-to-back meetings over the last few weeks now. And especially with the platform launch, it's been a bit busier because we're in direct contact with IEX, who's a national exchange. They're the ones who are going to be powering our platform with real-time data. So a lot of things are happening. The mobile version, and we're going to be launching new features and new data sets and models for everyone. So we really want to make this website as useful as possible for all of you, not just from the simple stock analysis that you can do at 100 different websites, but really things that you cannot find anywhere else, which is like super high quality data, right? Market snapshot, market concentration, for example, of course, the Moneyvest index, the dashboard, and adding more out of the box, more creative studies that you can access, all based on historical data, showing you seasonality, showing you average median movements of the stock. All of that, in my opinion, super helpful. Turning in late, did we go over all the things we're thankful for? Thankful for you, Karthik. Thanks for helping me find prosperity. No. You already were thankful for internet yesterday. We can't change that. I mentioned it and now you're saying it, Dave. But no, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I'm also thankful and grateful for our community, really, because, this has been a very, very exciting, meaningful, purpose-driven journey over the last 5 years. 2021 is when we first got started. When I first moved back, and then February 2026 is when we're going to complete officially our 5 years. So, every day I wake up and I'm thankful to the internet for allowing me to see you every morning. That's good. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But yeah, so always happy to engage on a day-to-day basis, talk about money, finance, real estate, options, stocks, all different things. I feel like we can talk for hours about things and still not get tired or bored. We could talk. And that's what happens in the meetups, in the Moneyvest meetups, and Dave can vouch for it. A lot of people can vouch for it. It's just we talk about stocks, options, real estate so much. Like we really do geek out during those meetups. We have nothing else to talk about. I have to divert conversations away from all of this. But hey, this is what brings the community together, right? So I love it. Srinivas, thank you so much for being with us since 2021. That's incredible. Who here has been since 2020, 2019, 2021? Who here is been with us for 4 or 5 years in the chat right now? Yeah, the meetups are a ton of fun. I love the stock trivia game you came up with. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we also had a trivia game. You know what? I forgot about that game because I think that was in the second part of the meetup. Like once we went to a different place. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was also starting to feel, pretty hammered at that point. But I remember that game. I remember that trivia game, Dave. Do you plan to travel to Georgia or the U.S. next year? Yes, I'll be there for the World Cup, and we'll do like a 5-year anniversary meetup next year in the summer. This year, I'm still trying to finally get done the European edition. So we'll update everybody on that if that's happening in December. It's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze, but we'll definitely try to make it work. So we'll update everybody on that. Yep, been watching for years. When are you going to be in Dallas? We're gonna pick a good place next year in the summer for the 5-year anniversary. Dave's gonna help me with that. We gotta pick a hotel. We gotta pick a nice place. Could be Florida. I actually love Florida. I fell in love with Florida, so we might get a nice place down there. Depends on how the weather is gonna be. Started trading investing this year. Just joined you. Liked your passion. Thank you so much, Nishant. Welcome on board. Let's do a gaming meetup, GTA 6. Can you please help me? When it is a good idea to buy a put option for a potential profit when a stock is in a clear downtrend? Thank you so much in advance. I appreciate all your videos and work. So, Casey, to be honest, like I don't personally buy puts only for the reason that nobody really knows, when stocks are going to drop. Like, nobody can predict. So rather we sell puts and we sell calls to hedge our positions. Buying a put, yes, it's a cheap way to, trade, but the probability of success is much lower. And so as a result, there are strategies that involve buying options, but inherently, like, we as investors and traders are mostly focused on selling options and collecting premium. So that's really what I and many others in the community focus on. So hopefully that kind of clears it up a little bit. Talking about Enphase, PayPal, Trulieve, and Technoglass during that time. Technoglass is still, I believe, a very, very good, strong company. And even PayPal is. Like, all these are still pretty good businesses. They just can't seem to catch a break. Especially PayPal. Can't seem to catch a break. It's still a great company. But, yeah, the weather is always great in Florida. That's amazing. I really can't wait to visit again. I think it's going to be great. What is the coupon code? So there is no coupon. The coupon is applied automatically. It's currently everything's 40% off on the membership side, and then courses are 60-70% off. I'm from Jacksonville. Let's meet in Florida, Srinivas. Perfect. I think you were there last time, right? The last time we did it in Tampa. Regular follower will contact you shortly for a call. I'm thinking to join. Perfect. Email me admin@moneyvest.com. More than happy to help. Been with you since 2021. Brian, thank you so much. You rescued me from chasing meme stocks. Incredible. That's amazing. Tampa, Florida. I live here. I'll arrange everything for you. Thank you so much, Pratik. We'll definitely take you up on that offer. And yeah, so markets are going to open here shortly in about 4 to 5 minutes. But yeah, again, thank you so much, everybody. Very, very grateful for the community here. We're going to be building something big together. So I'm still fresh here, but learning quickly. Grateful for trading options course. Awesome. Stefan, thank you so much. Did I pronounce that right? Or is it... That's a pretty big name. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So anyway, volatility now under 18. Officially, we're back under 18, down over 3%. Market breadth has improved quite a bit, so that's good. And then, of course, Bitcoin's still struggling, and so is Ethereum. And individual stocks are showing signs of life once again. So for today, in terms of the economic calendar, I don't think we have anything scheduled per se. So coming over to the calendar here. So we did have jobless claims, yes. We had jobless claims. Or is that... Wait, hold on. Yes, we did have that. Okay, 216,000 was the number for the week ending on November 22nd. So last week here. Consensus was 225, so it came in a little bit lower than where the consensus was. GDP numbers delayed. Durable goods orders delayed. Retail inventories delayed. A lot of stuff just delayed. Yeah, I kind of figured because I was like briefly looking at your profile picture. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you, but Stepanka. Okay. Very unique and very, very nice name. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much for that message. 2021, perfect. That's great. Yeah, all went good. Jobless claims came out slightly lower than expectations here. All signs point to a green day today, guys. Good luck with buying. Yeah, I think it's really going to be a big test for the market. If we are able to trade above the lower high, I think that we're back. Then we're back. Not just meme back, but we're actually back. But really, the markets have to take those moving averages back in control. And then continue to trade with higher highs on some good volume. So we really have the 20 moving average here coming up top on the NASDAQ. S&P is already trading above it, which is good. And then now we just have to break out of that lower high for S&P and the NASDAQ. Plan your wedding in Florida, Caddy. I don't even know if there's going to be very few people who actually will be able to make it. If most of my people are coming from India, yeah, it's going to be hard. A destination wedding like that, it's going to be tough. So, but I honestly love Florida. Fell in love with it. I like the beach a lot. I like open spaces, like greenery, nature. We're coming to India for the party. Yes, absolutely. Well, India or Dubai. So either of those two. Yeah. I'll be there in January. Perfect. Awesome. So, all right. A couple more minutes left for markets to open. What are we thinking? Green or red for today? And then Friday, it's going to be a very short day. We're going to close at 1 p.m. When is the wedding? What presents would you like to get? No, I have no idea. I have no idea. So yeah, tell me exactly what your predictions are for today. Are you expecting a green or a red day in this market? At Jaipur Palace. Well, let's see if that happens. Maybe a BMW X4 M40i for the community members. That would be pretty nice, wouldn't it? But here we go. So markets are open in about 20 seconds. And again, we're leaning a lot more towards a rate cut. About an 80%, 75-80% probability that we're going to get a rate cut next month. So unemployment's been creeping up a little bit, but rate cut is indeed coming in 2 weeks. Here we go. Markets are open. NASDAQ here opening higher by about 60 basis points. Volatility is back under 18. And we've got the S&P 500 also up over 30, 40 basis points right now. Individual stocks also moving higher. Nvidia is up almost 2%. AMD also recovering after yesterday's sell-off. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. I really appreciate you all. Again, very grateful for each and every one of you, all the members. You guys make it very special for all of us, the community. And I'll be back at it on Friday morning for the live stream, for a shorter live stream. And then tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day. Markets are going to be closed. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving Day with your friends, family, and have a lovely, lovely long weekend as well. But of course, I'll see you again on Friday. Again, thank you so much. We'll see you all in the next live stream. Take care.